Imagine stepping into a world where your beliefs aren't comforts but challenges, where what you think is true might just be another illusion. In this summary of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche invites us to question everything we know about life, values, and ourselves. He doesn't aim to teach us what's good or bad. Instead, he aims to break down those labels entirely, guiding us towards something beyond conventional ideas. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is a bold form of existentialism that encourages us to look within, question our assumptions, and redefine our purpose. This journey isn't about following the crowd or clinging to old beliefs. Rather, it's about self-discovery, building strength, and creating meaning on our own terms. Nietzsche's vision is powerful, yet challenging, with ideas that are intense, layered, and deeply thought-provoking. That's why this summary presents Zarathustra's journey in simpler, modern language. Here, Nietzsche's ideas are explored in a clear and engaging way, helping you dive into his philosophy without getting lost in complex language, while still capturing the essence of his challenging vision. If you're ready to rethink what it means to be alive, question beliefs, and create your own path, join me on this journey of deep questions and fierce independence. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, we're building a path to wisdom, exploring Nietzsche's existential insights and uncovering where they might lead us. Prologue. At 30, Zarathustra left his home to live in solitude in the mountains, savoring his wisdom. One morning, he felt a need to share this knowledge, like a bee with too much honey, craving the chance to spread joy and elevate the wise and humble alike. Speaking to the rising sun, he decided to descend to humanity and left his mountain. On his way down, he met a hermit in the forest who recognized him. The old man, now dedicated to God rather than people, warned Zarathustra that humanity wouldn't want his gifts. Zarathustra, however, was resolute, knowing he brought something far beyond alms, the transformative gift of wisdom. After parting with the hermit, he reflected that this man had yet to understand that God is dead. Zarathustra soon reached a town where a crowd had gathered for a tightrope walker. Taking the opportunity, he addressed the people, proclaiming the coming of the Superman, a new humanity beyond conventional moral limits, tied not to God or the afterlife, but to life's potential on Earth. He urged them to see humanity as a bridge to the Superman, not an endpoint, and scorned those clinging to otherworldly hopes. Some jeered, craving only spectacle, yet Zarathustra stood firm, presenting the Superman as the culmination of self-overcoming and the ultimate meaning of existence. In this crowd, a tightrope walker began his act, only to be taunted by a jester, causing him to fall fatally. As the performer lay dying, Zarathustra reassured him that neither devil nor hell awaited him. Death was simply an end. Taking up the man's body, Zarathustra pressed on, met by jeers and warnings, yet undeterred, even as night fell and solitude settled around him. Exhausted, he finally laid the body to rest, deciding he was not a shepherd for the people nor a gravedigger for the dead. His mission was for the creators and seekers ready to break old values, whom he would inspire toward the path of the Superman. With renewed clarity, Zarathustra spoke of the need for companions, those ready to overcome themselves rather than remain in the comfort of old beliefs. He looked to the dawn with resolve, awaiting those who, like him, sought life's heights rather than its securities. In the sky, he noticed an eagle with a serpent, symbols of pride and wisdom circling above, a reminder that his journey would indeed be challenging, yet deeply intertwined with these guiding forces as he began his descent into the world. Book 1. Zarathustra describes 3 key transformations that the spirit undergoes on its journey toward freedom and creativity. First, the spirit becomes like a camel, willingly bearing the heaviest burdens: humility, solitude, sacrifice, and struggle, as a test of strength. After traveling through the desert of life's challenges, the spirit reaches a turning point, shedding imposed values and transforming into a lion. This lion, strong and independent, roars its own "I will," defying the command of "you must" that others try to impose. Yet even the lion cannot truly create. To do that, the spirit must become a child, innocent, open, and ready to experience life without the weight of the past. The child greets each new moment with a joyful yes. Only the child, free from others' demands and the lion's defenses, can fully embrace life and imagine new possibilities. Zarathustra critiques passive virtue, describing it as mere obedience rather than genuine engagement with life's complexities. True virtue, he suggests, grows from actively meeting life's challenges rather than avoiding them. Addressing the allure of promises about the afterlife, he emphasizes the significance of the here and now, where the true meaning of life resides in bodily existence. He argues that longing for another world often stems from dissatisfaction with life and a misunderstanding of the self, which is inseparable from the physical and earthly realm. Instead of repressing passions, Zarathustra calls for their transformation, seeing them as sources of power. True friendship, he asserts, is not merely for comfort, but is a dynamic force for growth. A real friend doesn't simply offer reassurance, they challenge each other to strive for greatness, sparking mutual self-overcoming. This contrasts sharply with the last man, who represents complacency, seeking only comfort and predictability. Zarathustra insists that humanity should constantly aspire to rise beyond itself, driven by a continuous process of self-overcoming. Speaking to the warrior spirit, Zarathustra encourages the pursuit of meaningful struggles over ease, championing courage and nobility. He criticizes the state for promoting conformity, which stifles individuality and the potential for self-realization. Similarly, he critiques the marketplace for distorting values by celebrating public figures and trivialities, while neglecting genuine creators. For Zarathustra, fulfillment is not found in validation from the crowd, but in the solitude of self-exploration and the authenticity of individual pursuits. Each culture, Zarathustra observes, defines good and evil according to its own interests, revealing a fragmented human purpose. True unity, he suggests, can only arise by moving beyond these fractured ideals, seeking a deeper shared meaning that elevates individual and collective potential. He challenges the conventional love of neighbors, seeing it as a way people avoid facing their own inner lives. True love, he suggests, aspires toward ideals that inspire us to grow. Relationships, whether friendships or marriages, should foster mutual growth and greatness rather than fill emotional voids. A friend or true partner does not simply offer comfort, they inspire each person to reach their highest potential. In marriage, Zarathustra envisions a purpose beyond companionship. He suggests that couples should strive to create something greater than themselves, aligning their union with an ideal that aspires toward the Superman, or humanity's fullest potential. Even in facing death, Zarathustra advocates a free death, one that crowns life's purpose and leaves a legacy that inspires those who remain. For him, life should complete itself in a way that celebrates the individual's journey and their contributions to the world. For Zarathustra, the highest virtue lies in giving, not as an obligation, but as an expression of one's abundant and joyful existence. Those who give freely, driven by a life that overflows with vitality, are the true creators, enriching the world with beauty and meaning. Ultimately, Zarathustra's call is for self-liberation, even from his own teachings. He urges each to embark on a solitary journey to discover their unique path. This journey of self-overcoming brings individuals closer to radiant individuality, creating a world where humanity can continually reach higher, guided by the relentless pursuit of its most profound values. Book 2. After sharing his vision with the world, Zarathustra returns to his cave, seeking solitude to dive deeper into his understanding of life and humanity. Yet, even as he tries to find peace, he feels restless. He misses the friends and followers who once inspired him, feeling a growing need to express the wisdom he's gathered. One night, a dream jolts him awake. A child appears holding up a mirror, but the reflection staring back is twisted, almost devil-like. This haunting vision unsettles him as he realizes that his teachings may be misunderstood or distorted. Moved by this insight, he decides to reconnect with his followers, aiming to clarify his message and prevent its misinterpretation. His journey leads him to the Happy Isles, where he shares a radical perspective on moving beyond traditional beliefs in gods and religious faith. Zarathustra doesn't reject spirituality outright. Rather, he encourages each individual to seek their own path, finding strength and purpose from within. His new vision, embodied by the Superman, is an invitation to live courageously, create meaning, and achieve self-mastery. Reverence, he explains, need not be directed toward distant gods, but can arise from realizing one's own potential, living intentionally with integrity and purpose. In a bold declaration, he states, "God is dead," emphasizing that humanity can no longer rely on ancient beliefs to guide them. By transcending old ideals, each person can pursue their unique purpose, bringing humanity closer to greatness. Continuing his journey, Zarathustra encounters people with differing views, some proud of their virtuous appearances, others clinging to pity. He challenges those who use pity to feel morally superior, insisting that true compassion empowers others, helping them become stronger instead of keeping them dependent. Similarly, he values friendship as a powerful connection, built not merely on comfort, but mutual inspiration. Real friends encourage each other to strive for greatness, pushing each other's limits and challenging complacency. Zarathustra warns of the dangers of societal conformity and shallow morality, describing collective ideals that stifle individuality. He calls on everyone to follow a path of relentless self-overcoming, a continuous journey of growth that rejects mediocrity, pushing instead for new heights. This path, he insists, demands solitude, courage, and resilience, fueled by an unwavering commitment to living one's truth and seeking true purpose beyond what society expects. Reflecting on the roles of scholars and poets, Zarathustra finds they often stay at the surface of life's truths, either by endlessly analyzing or by creating fantasy worlds that avoid reality. Scholars tend to repeat ideas without truly living them, while poets risk becoming lost in their imaginings. For Zarathustra, wisdom means leaving comfort behind and embracing the raw, transformative experiences of life itself. Detached observation is not enough. Wisdom requires active engagement with existence. At a moment of inner conflict, Zarathustra envisions humanity burdened by tasks that feel hollow and repetitive, weighed down by imposed duties that lack meaning. This vision saddens him, but he resolves to inspire people to find a true sense of purpose. In one encounter, he meets individuals he calls cripples, trapped by their own limitations and waiting for miracles rather than working to grow. Zarathustra believes that redemption comes from turning regret into motivation, moving beyond past mistakes and shaping a better future through action. As he wrestles with his ideals and the imperfections of humanity, Zarathustra learns from humanity's flaws, realizing that wisdom is not about rising above others, but about connecting with their struggles and using these experiences as lessons in resilience and growth. True wisdom involves a balance between staying grounded in reality and aspiring to higher ideals. Eventually, Zarathustra senses a pull back toward solitude, understanding that his journey is far from complete and that he has more growth ahead. This time alone, he believes, will help him confront his own weaknesses and prepare him for a larger purpose. He knows that true enlightenment and leadership come from facing inner challenges and that solitude will make him stronger and wiser. Through these encounters and reflections, Zarathustra presents a vision of a bold life, where meaning is forged from within. His philosophy values independence, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. His journey isn't solely about personal growth. It's a call to elevate humanity itself, encouraging each person to overcome their limitations and reach for their highest potential. In this way, his journey becomes both solitary and communal, a path designed to inspire future generations to reach for the ideal he calls the Superman, a being who transcends conventional beliefs to live a life of purpose, creativity, and deep inner strength. Book 3. Zarathustra, journeying through vast and isolated landscapes, finds himself on a path that leads him not only through physical peaks, but toward a deeper self-realization. Moving along these winding trails, he reflects on how he has always been a wanderer, drawn to great heights, yet never settling in one place for long. As he climbs, he understands that each encounter along the way is, at its core, a confrontation with aspects of himself. He sees his journey as more than a reaction to fate. It's a deliberate shaping of destiny through his own will and insight. In solitude, Zarathustra finds a sense of wholeness that was elusive among people. However, he also recognizes that solitude is a delicate balance between discovery and loneliness. One night, he dreams again of a child holding up a mirror, only to see a twisted, almost devilish version of himself. This haunting image makes him question whether his teachings have been misunderstood or distorted. Overcome by doubt, he resolves to return to those he cares about, hoping to clarify his message and ensure its purity. Upon reaching the Happy Isles, he shares his vision of a future not dependent on traditional gods, but instead focused on humanity's capacity for greatness. He urges people to look within themselves, striving to achieve the state of the Superman, a being who has surpassed conventional morality and transcended dependency. Zarathustra's vision does not dismiss spirituality. Rather, he shifts it inward towards self-mastery, courage, and creativity. Reverence, he argues, can be directed not toward a higher being, but toward the pursuit of one's highest potential and a life of purpose. As his journey continues, Zarathustra encounters people who cling to shallow virtues or wear pity as a disguise for moral superiority. He views true compassion as a force that uplifts others, making them stronger rather than fostering dependency. Friendship, in his philosophy, is also challenging. It should inspire each friend to reach new heights rather than remain in the safety of familiarity. To Zarathustra, friends are mirrors, reflecting both strengths and weaknesses, pushing each other toward their full potential. Zarathustra warns against collective ideals that promote conformity and mediocrity, suppressing individuality. He champions a path to greatness, marked by solitude and self-overcoming. Each individual, he contends, must pursue a relentless journey of growth, achievable only through independence, courage, and resilience. He further critiques scholars and poets, who he believes often remain at the surface of life's truths, either through endless analysis or by losing themselves in fantasy. Scholars risk parroting ideas they haven't fully lived, while poets drift into realms detached from reality. For Zarathustra, true growth requires more than observation or imagination. It calls for raw, direct engagement with life's transformative experiences, leaving comfort behind to embrace responsibility and independence. As Zarathustra contemplates humanity, he envisions people burdened by repetitive empty tasks and a sense of meaningless duty. This vision saddens him, but he realizes his purpose is to inspire people to seek authentic purpose. He encounters individuals he calls cripples, trapped by limitations they impose on themselves. Many wait for miracles rather than exerting effort to grow. Zarathustra believes redemption comes from transforming regret into motivation, moving beyond past mistakes to actively create a better future. Through these encounters, Zarathustra continues to grapple with his ideals versus the imperfections of humanity. Despite his elevated goals, he remains humble, grounded by the flaws he observes in others. He understands that wisdom is not about rising above people, but staying connected to their struggles and using them as lessons. True wisdom involves a balance between striving for high ideals and remaining grounded in reality. Eventually, Zarathustra feels a call to return to solitude. He realizes his journey is not yet complete. He has further growth ahead. This time alone will allow him to face his weaknesses and prepare for an even greater purpose. Zarathustra accepts that true enlightenment and leadership require facing inner challenges, knowing that solitude will only make him stronger and wiser. Zarathustra begins to envision men and women as distinct yet complementary forces, with men finding strength in struggle and women embodying creation. But beyond these roles, both should embrace life with joy, symbolized by a dance that unites mind and body. Marriage, he insists, must be grounded in honesty, with a clear purpose. Rushing into it risks bitterness and relationships that trap rather than uplift. A genuine union, he argues, is about the ongoing choice to nurture love and growth, rather than just a superficial connection. From this perspective on relationships, Zarathustra transitions to criticize rigid societal morals, seeing them as obstacles to growth. The good and just cling to absolute truths, failing to embrace life's complexities. This rigidity, he argues, limits them and society as a whole. True growth and creativity come from resilience, a hardening of spirit achieved by facing life's greatest challenges. Zarathustra's search for meaning ultimately leads him to the concept of the eternal return, an acceptance of life as a cyclical experience where everything, even suffering, recurs. He presents this not as a reason for despair, but as an opportunity for ultimate commitment, to live each moment as if it will return, finding purpose even in hardship. He asks, would we still embrace life if we knew it would repeat infinitely? Through this question, Zarathustra challenges his listeners to live as though every experience, every joy, sorrow, and struggle is significant, building a life they would willingly repeat. In grappling with these existential questions, Zarathustra encounters his own disgust with the repetitiveness and limitations of human nature. Yet, through this despair, he finds strength, realizing that what he calls human evil is essential for growth. It drives humanity toward higher goals, pushing against complacency and encouraging continual evolution. In the end, Zarathustra likens life to a vast sea voyage. Freedom, he understands, isn't an escape, but a deep acceptance of life's cyclical nature. He sees this as a dance of eternity, a creative act affirming life's recurring patterns as part of a grand, unknowable design. He reaches a resolution, a profound love for eternity, and a courageous embrace of each moment, including suffering, as part of existence's vast tapestry. Through this acceptance, Zarathustra realizes his teachings are a call to face life as it is, an endless, renewing cycle, and to approach it with a spirit of creativity, resilience, and unwavering commitment to self-overcoming. By embracing the eternal return, he finds a purpose that both honors the challenges of existence and celebrates the limitless potential of humanity. Book 4. As Zarathustra withdraws further into solitude, he is drawn into a profound confrontation with his sense of purpose. Time seems to slip by unnoticed, and his hair has turned white. Sitting outside his cave one day, Zarathustra gazes over the vastness before him, his mind now occupied not with simple happiness, but with the immense weight of his task. His animals sense his shifting spirit, noticing he seems both restless and deeply introspective. When they ask him about happiness, Zarathustra dismisses it as trivial, long since leaving behind the comforts of simple contentment to pursue the arduous purpose of his life's work. They urge him to climb a nearby mountain, to seek a higher perspective and find clarity. Zarathustra agrees, deciding to make a symbolic honey sacrifice. Though he frames it as an offering to the gods, it is truly a call to awaken those capable of reaching a deeper understanding. On the mountain summit, Zarathustra stands alone, reflecting that his task is not simply to inspire ordinary sacrifice, but to help humanity realize its own potential, urging each individual to overcome themselves. From this height, he envisions himself as a fisherman in the sea of human potential, casting his line to draw forth those brave enough to reach new heights. He realizes that his vision is one of deep personal transformation, requiring not just wisdom, but the courage to break free of mediocrity. As he descends, Zarathustra encounters several figures embodying different human limitations. First, he meets a soothsayer who is haunted by his insights into humanity's despair. The soothsayer's burden is the awareness of life's meaninglessness, a feeling that his wisdom, rather than enlightening him, has only deepened his sorrow. Zarathustra listens but offers no comforting platitudes, knowing that true relief from despair must come from within, not from external comforts. This soothsayer symbolizes the loneliness that sometimes accompanies deep knowledge, and Zarathustra's response embodies the belief that resilience must be cultivated in solitude. Next, Zarathustra meets two kings who are burdened by the emptiness of their titles. Their pursuit of authority has trapped them in the hollow pageantry of power, and they yearn for a purpose greater than their ceremonial roles. They sense they are not truly the highest among men. The ideals that once defined them now feel superficial. Zarathustra welcomes this insight, seeing their search for something greater as a step towards self-overcoming. He challenges them to move beyond titles and roles, to rediscover their potential not as kings, but as individuals. In a darker moment, Zarathustra encounters the ugliest man, who reveals himself as the murderer of God. The man sought to rid himself of the constant gaze of a higher being by silencing God. Yet, in doing so, he finds he is now haunted by the void left behind, his liberation leaving only a deeper emptiness. Zarathustra sees that this man's rejection of external authority has led him not to freedom, but to despair, and he encourages him to look within, to forge a purpose that does not rely on negation, but on creation. These encounters remind Zarathustra of the ways people seek to avoid the responsibility of self-creation, turning to power, knowledge, or even nihilism. Zarathustra understands that his own solitude has become essential, not as an escape from humanity, but as a crucible for inner strength. Through his journey, he has learned that true freedom lies not in evading life's trials, but in embracing them fully. Further down the path, Zarathustra meets a voluntary beggar who renounced wealth in search of simplicity. Yet even this beggar feels disillusioned by the petty corruption and mediocrity he sees in humanity. Zarathustra sympathizes, yet he knows that renunciation alone is not enough. He tells the beggar that true growth comes from struggle, from engaging with life's challenges rather than seeking refuge in simplicity. Through this interaction, Zarathustra underscores that while simplicity can purify, it must also inspire action and resilience. As Zarathustra continues, he contemplates the concept of the eternal return, the possibility that every moment of life, joyful or painful, might recur endlessly. He asks himself if he could bear the thought of living each moment over and over, without end. This contemplation forces him to affirm life completely, realizing that each moment is part of a vast, interconnected reality that must be embraced wholly if one is to live genuinely. This realization becomes a test of his resolve, challenging him to accept even the darkest moments as essential parts of existence. Finally, Zarathustra assembles his companions for a symbolic Last Supper. Here, he speaks of the courage needed to live beyond the confines of conventional morality. He encourages them to laugh at their failures and to approach life with playfulness and resilience, embodying the qualities of the Superman. Zarathustra does not present himself as a leader, but as a guide, urging each person to discover their own strength and rise beyond what they were to become, who they might be. After this gathering, Zarathustra feels an intense need for the purity and simplicity of solitude. Quietly slipping away from the crowd in his cave, he steps outside to breathe in the fresh air, yearning for something untainted by overthinking and posturing. He calls to his eagle and serpent, welcoming the presence of his animal companions. To Zarathustra, the eagle and serpent symbolize raw, instinctual wisdom and strength, a refreshing contrast to the intellectual vanity he sensed among his guests. Their company grounds him, reminding him of the deeper wisdom in nature that cannot be fully captured by words. While he savors this moment of peace, the old magician inside the cave stirs. Seizing Zarathustra's absence, he addresses the remaining guests, calling them higher men with a blend of sincerity and sarcasm. Known for his illusions, the magician speaks candidly about the emptiness of his own pursuit of enlightenment, haunted by a melancholy devil that reflects his life spent crafting illusions and intellect without discovering true purpose. His insights reveal a bittersweet truth. The search for wisdom often hides behind masks and illusions, leaving even the most learned vulnerable to self-deception. As the magician begins a haunting song, the guests fall into a reflective silence. His lyrics question the pursuit of enlightenment, suggesting it can sometimes leave people feeling lonelier and more alienated. Each guest confronts the uncomfortable truth that their journeys, though noble, often feel hollow, as if true understanding remains just out of reach. Outside, Zarathustra is lost in the quiet joy he shares with the eagle and serpent. Their presence reminds him that not all wisdom is intellectual. Sometimes it is found in simplicity and instinct. He realizes that his peace comes from embracing this simplicity, from connecting with nature without endlessly analyzing it. The animals remind him that true wisdom lies beyond words, in a realm of experiences and instincts that cannot be fully captured or understood. Returning to the cave, Zarathustra finds his guests subdued, each grappling with questions stirred by the magician's song. Sensing their inner turmoil, he does not scorn them. Instead, he feels compassion, understanding that even the so-called higher men struggle with doubt and insecurity. He sees that their laughter, joy, and questioning all have value, for each of them is on a unique journey. With renewed empathy, Zarathustra embraces their flawed humanity, recognizing that both laughter and doubt are part of the path toward growth and wisdom. In the end, Zarathustra understands that every path to wisdom is valid, even those marked by uncertainty and imperfection. Though his guests may not find the simplicity he has, their struggles and insights are just as valuable, reminding him that true enlightenment is found in balancing solitude with connection and in knowing oneself while embracing life's mysteries. This balance becomes Zarathustra's lasting legacy, a call for each person to seek their own truth and growth, inspired by both resilience and compassion.